Hi, Miss Dimmitt. I understand you've not participated in a deposition before. That is perfectly fine. That is what this video is here to do. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what a deposition is. We're going to talk about how a deposition is set up, both in the room and how the deposition is going to be conducted. And then we're going to get into how you should answer those questions, as well as just other general behavior that we're going to see in this deposition. So let's start with what a deposition is. So at its core, what a deposition is it's just a conversation between two parties that happens to be on the record. So what that means is that you will be sworn in this deposition. So that does mean that this will be sworn testimony. So we do need to make sure that you are being truthful so that we avoid any potential legal issues down the line. But at its core, yeah, just a guided conversation about something between the two parties. So in this instance, that's going to be the leasing dispute between you and Ms. Smart. So likely all of the questions are going to be related to that in some way. So the way this deposition is going to be physically set up is, let's pretend we have this room right here, and this is going to be our deposition table. So how this is going to work is you are going to be on this side of the table. So let's pretend you walk in like right here, go in. This is where you are going to sit. So when you come in, you're just going to sit right there. And then I am going to be seated right next to you. And then we're going to have all of the rest of these attorneys who are also going to be helping you during this deposition. What that means is we're just going to be there to make sure that that deposition is being conducted properly. We're not going to be coaching you, because that is not the purpose of a deposition. The purpose of a deposition is to get the answers from you, or the witness, not the attorney. So you are going to be doing there, answering the questions. We're going to be there making sure this deposition is conducted properly. And then on this side is going to be our favorite person in the room. That is going to be our deposition officer / court reporter. They are fantastic. They are the people who are going to help you swear you. They are the people who are going to swear you in, and they are going to be the people who are creating that nice report and that record. So we want to be super nice to them, and we want to make their job as easy as possible. So what that means is no interrupting or talking over anyone else. And then finally, on this side, we have the opposing party's attorneys. So there's going to be a number of them, but the one that you want to focus on, and the one that is going to be conducting this deposition, is going to be this one right here. So we want to make sure that you are having a nice conversation between yourself and that person. So that's all that you need to worry about. None of the rest of these people. So that is how a deposition is physically set up. Now let's talk about how a deposition is going to run. So when you get in, you're just going to take a seat right next to me at that corner of the table, and then they are going to run through some basics. So that will be, for example, stipulations about how this deposition is going to run, as well as various other housekeeping matters. And then you will be sworn in. Like I said, this is a on-the-record conversation, so just keep that in mind. And then they're just going to ask you some basic foundational questions, just really establishing that this is a good time for you to give this deposition, and that this is going to be the product of truthful testimony. And so just answer those basic questions, and then they'll get into what this deposition is mainly about, which is that leasing dispute. So they're just going to be asking you questions about what you did as relates to D&J Realty. So that includes possibly landlord duties, as well as some of the other actions that you've taken in that apartment and with Ms. Smart. So, and then that also will probably include documents. So we want to make sure that those documents, are that you know them really well. So what I would recommend is you reading and kind of bring yourself up to date on those documents. So that includes the leasing rental agreement, the leasing addendum, the apartment inventory list, as well as the map of the apartment. So please make sure you review and read that document very carefully. And then that also goes for in this deposition as well. If they give you a document, please make sure you are reading that document carefully to make sure that that document is what they are saying it is. I'm not saying they're going to do anything underhanded, but we want to make sure that if we are giving an answer about a document, we know the answer and the document it's about. So please, when they present you with a document, just take your time, read it carefully so that we can give clear, accurate answers to the question that they are going to ask about the documents. So they're just going to go through the leasing dispute. They may ask you about some entrances that you may have done or have not done. And then they're going to conclude, and it's probably going to take about 2.5 hours. So we're going to be there for a little bit. If you ever feel like you need to take a break, just tell me and I will ask them, or you can ask the opposing attorney. Either way is fine. We just want to make sure that you're comfortable throughout this entire deposition. And if you feel like you need to take a break, you totally can. Don't feel like anyone's holding you in that room. So let's get into what you're going to be doing in this deposition, and that is answering questions. Now, to answer questions well, we need to do two things. One, we need to be a good listener, and we need to understand the question that is being asked. So, what does being a good listener look like? Essentially, what that means is not interrupting. It can be tempting if you feel like you know where the question is leading to. It can be tempted to interrupt that attorney and just give them the answer that you think they're looking for. Please don't do that. For one, it complicates and interrupts the record. And like I said, we want that record to be as nice and clean as possible. And then also, it's possible that that attorney is going in a different way than you thought they were, and then you've just given them information that they didn't ask, and that's not what we want. And that's not what we want to do. What we want to do in a deposition is give truthful and accurate answers to the questions that are posed, and nothing more. We don't want to give extra information. We don't want to make their job any easier than it is already. So, when you are listening to a question, please don't interrupt. And then also at the end, it's a really good habit to get into. Just take a second or two to pause after the question has been answered. What that does is, one, that ensures that you will not interrupt them. So that's really good for the court reporter and yourself. And two, it just gives you a little bit of extra time to really think about the answers and come up with a really good answer that will answer the question like they want to. So that is answering the questions. Oh, and then also, if you do not understand what a question is asking or what answer the question is looking for, please ask them to clarify. This deposition is not going to do any good if you are providing answers that they are not looking for, or they are asking questions that the answers are not really aligned with. So we want to make sure that we are having clear communication between you and that opposing attorney. And what that means is, if you don't understand a question, ask them to clarify. Now, in terms of actually answering that question, once you understand what that question is asking for, we want to make sure that we are giving accurate and truthful testimony. So what that means is, if you are giving an answer and it's an answer that is yes and, or it's yes and some clarification or condition, please provide that second part. We want to make sure that they are getting as much truthful and accurate, as many truthful and accurate answers to the best of your ability. And that best of your ability includes those conditions. So if it's like, yes, but there were like these other things going on, list those things. Do not be afraid of conditionals or caveats. that goes doubly for numbers. If you are providing a number, please be very, very careful with how you answer that question. Specifically because if you provide a number and you don't say it's a guess or an estimation, that is going to be taken as fact. And it's possible later down the line that that is going to really come back to bite us in the butt. So if you are providing a number or an estimation or a range, please make sure that you clarify that this is a guess or an estimation. We want to make sure that we are being accurate, and accurate means that this may not be fact. This is just what you are guessing it to be. So essentially, if it's a guess, tell them it's a guess. The final thing I really want to talk about is sometimes there may be questions that you don't know the answer to. In that instance, there's really two options for what you can do. The first one is you can say, I don't know, or you can say, I don't remember. It's really, really important that there's a difference there, because there is a legal difference there. When you are saying, I don't know, what you are saying is I do not have the knowledge that this answer is looking for, and I have never had the knowledge that this information is looking for. That means that if there's later something proving that you did know at any point before that answer, that can create a real problem with your testimony. So in general, we want to be super, super careful about saying, I don't know, instead of I don't remember. I don't remember is much better, because essentially what it's saying is, I don't have this knowledge at this time. That presents fewer issues down the line. Essentially, it just prevents you from them finding something that found out that essentially what it prevents is it just prevents them from finding an instance back in time where you did know and kind of double crossing you with it. So in general, if you are unsure of an answer, I would recommend you say, I don't remember. But if you genuinely don't know, and you know that you have never known the answer to this, you can use I don't know. But in general, please defer to I don't remember. One other thing, I've kind of alluded to it, but yeah, we're not going to be talking a lot during this deposition. That's actually something that the court does not look fondly on. So I'm not going to be coaching you. Essentially, what I'm going to be there doing is just conducting that deposition. No, I'm not going to be conducting it. My apologies. I'm just going to be making sure that that other attorney is conducting that deposition in the way that they should. So essentially what that means is just objections and stuff like that. So yes, this is about what you know, and these are your answers. So we want to make sure we preserve that. So that's why we're not going to be doing any coaching during that. So that is the basic outline for a deposition. Like I said, it's essentially at its core just a conversation between two parties. And I am sure you will do great if you just follow these tips and just, it's going to be just fine. And we're going to do great. So see you on Thursday.